any items you would like to.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. In 2019, the board directed the previous town administrator, Phil Cordiero, to email NCDOT's traffic engineer asking for trucks to be rerouted from Main Street. There were other communications, calls, and many emails in the interim. On Wednesday, January 17th, 2024, Brian Mayhew, the state traffic engineer, met with Mayor Flowers, Mayor Pro Tem Brame, and staff. We walked Main Street and observed the volume of truck traffic. Mr. Mayhew said that he would follow up with options for the town to investigate. On Tuesday, May 7th of 2024, Brian Mayhew, the state engineer, came to Youngsville's town hall and delivered the attached options. He stated that the town would need to bear the cost and make all of the requests to have any designation of Highway 96 changed. There were 5 options presented, which will be shown momentarily. The board should adopt a preferred option, which staff will then coordinate with neighboring jurisdictions. So option 1 would reroute Highway 96 to go straight along US 1 instead of it goes straight on instead of turning where Food Lion is. And then it would go and follow Holden Street through Main Street down Tarboro Road to 401. The estimated cost for that was $17,000 worth of signage. Option 2 would take the truck route to be concurrent with Highway 98 and then, US 1 and then Highway 98. And it would pick back up on the southeast side just past the roundabout. The estimated cost for signage for this one was the most expensive at $100,000. And that included some of the overhead signs that would need to be changed along US 1, particularly in the vicinity of Highway 98. The third option had an estimated cost of $12,000 and would simply remove the portion of Highway 96 that is, I don't know what happened there. Would remove the portion of Highway 96 between 5 Points intersection and where the Food Lion is. There was an option 4 that would eliminate US 1A through Wake Forest, Youngsville, Wake County, and Franklin County, which would require federal approval because US 1A is a federal route. And then option 5, as presented by NCDOT, was to do nothing but upgrade the existing traffic signal at Cross Street to include pedestrian signals and signal pole replacements.
So after the meeting that we had earlier this week with those guys on Tuesday, Commissioner Brame, myself, and Mr. Page kind of tossed it out. I know what my option is, the one that stands out to me. I think it's the one that is obviously more feasible in what we're trying to do. It is the most expensive, but if I'm gauging them, it's option 2, then option 1, and then the rest kind of fall out. Obviously, we would like to get some kind of consensus and put that into we'll put it to a vote to see which one we want to. That way, you got the direction and how you need to approach that. So,
Are we this question time?
we're just kind of open. Yeah, it's open for.
So when we change the signage or we, kind of move the truck route with signage, how does that work as far as like trucks just see new signs and go new ways? Does Google and Waze like move in that direction? Are we able to give them a penalty for now taking this route? Like, how do we implement it actually a change happening besides signage?
Yeah, great question. All of the above. It takes a long time. Even if Highway 96 was to be dedicated here, directed here tomorrow, it would still take months for the signage to all be changed. And amongst those is the street signs, right? Southeast of town, it's known as Zebulon Road. And so there's not as big of an impact as 96 past cross. Highway 96 between Wake Electric and Food Lion, I don't know that it's ever had any other name. So there are some addresses that are going to need to be impacted through there. And the Board of Commissioners could, at some point in time, and staff would recommend that they do, adopt a resolution similar to what we did for Winston and Pine Streets that would then give the police officers the authority to enforce the no trucks through there. That ought to be months after the new signage is in place. That would allow, Google doesn't so much have a truck route option, but there are actually GPS routes that identify where the truck routes should be. And that's why, other than when there have been railroad crossing closings, you haven't seen a mobile home down Franklin Street. There was a day where they all tried to go down Franklin Street when they closed the train tracks. And it was most entertaining to be a burnt barrel for that event. But for the most part, they stay on, the large vehicles stay on the routes that they're supposed to be on, that are state designated routes for them. And as you're aware, our police officers are phenomenal. They're not going to go and look out for somebody to try and nail them for something when they're just lost. They're going to find somebody that's a repeat offender that has been coming down here and been talked to 50, 30 times, that's driving long distances. That's not just somebody, no one would give somebody a ticket that's going to deliver a transformer to Larry's place. Those trucks would always be permitted. The delivery trucks for Sharon's, always permitted. The folks going to K-Flex, always permitted. It's the non-local traffic that we would write a resolution on for the food trucks.
And I'll add that Brian Mayhew with NCDOT was very adamant about if DOT takes that route away from them, you can't have a truck just show up downtown and have nowhere else to go. I mean, you can't just turn around, downtown, obviously. So the signage would have to be far enough back to direct them where they need to go. So that was something that he mentioned over and over again. And I'll add to what Mayor Flower was saying. We talked about this with DOT and with our vision for the future of having a walkable downtown where you can have a conversation out on the sidewalk and feel safe. It's the only option 2 that we're looking at here that gets the trucks off of Main Street. It's the only one. The others try and help the flow of traffic, but all the others still have tractor trailers coming through our downtown. So that's why we saw option 2 is basically being the only option that fits with our future for the future vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I agree with Scott. I mean, option 1 and 3, essentially all they're doing is changing how they're pulling onto Main Street. But our problem isn't the traffic on the feeders into Main Street. The problem is traffic on Main Street. So just having them take Holden Road versus 96 doesn't really change anything other than they're taking one road over the other.
And we also identified in the meeting that obviously the best solution would be to have the bypass that we're working towards. But with that nowhere in the near future, we're looking at every option we can, and this seems to be the best option to help in the near term.
And this may actually help kind of push a little bit. I mean,
And that's a reasonable price to be an option to get us to the bypass.
Yep.
To do something between now and the bypass. I think that's it.
If it was $1 million, I would have a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
Any additional, but I mean,
Yes. Question,
yes, sir.
going to enforce it.
Yes, sir.
I still see trucks on Winston Street.
18 wheelers.
Joe does.
That's fine. I mean, this will help a ton.
Do we feel pretty secure in moving forward with option 2? Were there other additional comments on any of the other options? Did anything else kind of stand out with those?
I'll add that this option does involve assistance from the county. So they will play a big role in making this happen. It'll involve reaching out to at least the town of Wake Forest, potentially Wake County. I don't know, but there's going to be a lot of parties involved to make this happen. And we've got to get the ball rolling on our end. It's not up to DOT to do it. It's up for us to initiate it.
Which, that's something that we've been doing. We make things happen. So I can't imagine a scenario where the county commissioners wouldn't be supportive of this. I mean, just full disclosure and transparency.
I mean, I may be wrong in saying the only sign on 96 that says anything about Youngsville is about 5 miles toward 401, right when you go over 401. It'll say 5 miles to Youngsville at that point. That's the only signs, even coming up Capitol Boulevard. Am I wrong?
So what they'd have to do, so if now the lower portion down there is 96, so when you're coming north on US 1 and you have the 98 bypass, it says, here's 98. They're gonna have to add that, hey, now this is 96 as well.
And 98.
Yeah. So they'll have to update those overhead signs.
My
things
point
like
to
that.
being is we don't have any signs and we have people coming here anyway. So if we do have signs out that far, then hopefully that will help push it along where we.
Well, I think at the roundabout, the 96, 98 roundabout, it would have to probably be some signage there that says no through trucks
Yes, sir.
to get them circling and heading back in the direction we need to.
I think it's the best option by far.
Commissioner Wiggins, are you unanimous with option 2? Do you see a better or different option?
I agree, it's the best option.
Okay.
Wonder if it's gonna be worth the money.
I think so. I feel like we got a couple of gentlemen in the back that can certainly help us with the enforcement piece of it. All right, well, it sounds like we have consensus on option 2. So again, the action requested here is to approve a preferred option for staff to begin the process of interlocal agreements. Madam Clerk, would you like to have that as